The unwanted Gifty-Thon Wells, a brave human commander, stood tall in the grand hall of Baron Kraith's palace. Strange lights glowed on the walls, and hundreds of alien nobles watched in silence. Baron Kraith sat on his throne, a cruel smile on his face. He was a tall and thin alien with dark blue skin and sharp eyes. His voice echoed through the hall as he spoke. "Commander Wells, I offer you a gift. Something very special." Ethan felt uneasy. He knew the Baron never gave gifts. Without reason, the Baron clapped his hands and a group of alien guards entered the hall. Between them was a floating chair. On the chair sat a young alien woman, still and silent. Her skin was pale silver, her hair long and dark, and her bright eyes full of sadness and intelligence. But her body did not move, not even a finger. "Baron." Kraith laughed loudly. "This is my daughter Lyra," he said. "She is paralyzed, broken, and useless to me. A joke for you, Commander. Take her. She will be your reward for your service." The crowd of aliens began to laugh, a cold and cruel laughter that filled the hall. But Ethan did not laugh. He looked at Lyra carefully. Her face was calm, but her eyes were awake. He could see something inside her. A deep sadness, but also a spark of life. Ethan felt a strange connection in that moment, as if she was silently asking for help. Ethan stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you, Baron." "Kraith," he said, keeping his voice calm, "I accept your gift." The Baron's smile grew wider. He thought he had mocked the human. The guards pushed Lyra's floating chair toward Ethan. When she reached him, he gently placed his hand on her shoulder. It was cold, but he felt a slight shiver, almost like a hidden signal. His mind was racing. Why would the Baron give away his own daughter? Was this truly a joke, or something more dangerous? The Baron leaned closer and whispered so only Ethan could hear. "She is a curse, human. You will soon see." Then he sat back and waved his hand to dismiss them. Ethan nodded politely and turned. He guided Lyra's chair carefully through the great doors of the hall. Behind him, the aliens watched and whispered. He could feel their eyes on his back. This was no simple gift. This was a test, a trap, or maybe both. Outside, the air was cold and thin. Ethan's ship, the Starhawk, was waiting nearby. His crew was surprised to see him with the silent alien girl, but asked no questions. He ordered them to prepare a private room for her. As they lifted her chair into the ship, Ethan leaned down and whispered to her, "Lyra, I don't know what this is about yet, but I will find out for a moment." Her eyes met his. In that glance, Ethan saw something that made his heart beat faster. There was life inside her, not a broken doll as the Baron had said, but a mind trapped inside a still body. He could almost feel her thoughts. Her silent cry for freedom. When the Starhawk left the planet and entered space, Ethan sat alone in his cabin, thinking deeply. Why would a powerful alien like the Baron mock him with such a strange gift? And why did he sense that Lyra was much more than what she appeared to be? Later that night, Ethan went to Lyra's room. He sat beside her and looked into her eyes. He spoke softly, telling her about his life, about Earth, about his mission here. He watched closely. Sometimes her eyelids blinked, slowly but deliberately. He realized that she was trying to communicate with him. She was aware, fully awake inside that frozen body. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. This was no ordinary prisoner or reward. This was a brilliant mind imprisoned. He felt anger rising inside him. What kind of father would do this to his daughter? What was Baron Kraith afraid of? Before leaving the room, Ethan made a silent promise. He would not treat her as a joke. He would discover her secret and help her. No matter what, far across the stars, back in his palace, Baron Kraith watched Ethan on a hidden screen. He smiled darkly and whispered to himself, "Let's see, human. Let's see if you can handle her true potential. But Ethan was ready. He did not know the full truth yet, but he trusted his instincts, and deep inside, he felt that accepting this gift would change his life forever. The Starhawk floated quietly in deep space. Inside, Commander Ethan. Wells walked slowly toward Lyra's private room. His mind was full of questions. Why was this alien girl paralyzed? Why had the cruel Baron laughed when giving her away? Something was wrong. Ethan felt it deep inside when he entered Lyra's room. He saw her sitting quietly in her floating chair. Her silver skin glowed softly under the lights. Her dark hair fell gently around her face, but her body still did not move. Only her bright, intelligent eyes followed Ethan's every step. He sat beside her and smiled gently. "Hello, Lyra," he said softly. "I know you are in there, watching, thinking, feeling. I will help you, somehow, I promise." He brought a small scanner. It was one of the most advanced human medical devices. It could read brain activity and body functions with perfect accuracy. Ethan slowly waved it over Lyra's head. The scanner beeped and showed a strange result. Her brain was fully active, even more active than normal, but all signals to her muscles were blocked. It was as if an invisible wall inside her body stopped every command from her mind. "This isn't normal paralysis," Ethan whispered. "This is something unnatural." Lyra blinked twice, then twice again. Ethan leaned forward. Watching carefully, he spoke slowly. "Lyra, blink once for yes, twice for no. Can you understand me?" She blinked once. Ethan felt a rush of excitement. Finally, real communication. "Did your father do this to you?" he asked carefully. One blink, yes. His heart tightened. The cruel Baron had imprisoned his own daughter in her own body. But why? "Are you in pain?" Ethan asked. Two blinks. "No? Are you afraid?" he asked again. One blink, yes, but there was something more in her eyes. Something deeper than fear. A hidden strength, a secret she could not speak yet. Ethan sat back and thought for a moment. There had to be a way to free her. He called his ship's medic, a loyal officer named Dr. Carter. Together, they examined the scan results carefully. Dr. Carter shook his head in confusion. "Commander, her body is perfect. There's no injury, no disease. It's almost like something is blocking her from the inside. Not physical, but mental, maybe even engineered." Ethan's eyes narrowed. He thought about alien technologies he had heard of. Mind control devices, neural locks, psychic inhibitors. Could one of these have been used on Lyra? He looked at her again. Her eyes were calm, but watching everything. A sharp intelligence behind them. He felt sure that she was not just a helpless girl. She was something special, and that was exactly why the Baron feared her. Later that night, Ethan sat alone at his desk. He reviewed old records about the Baron's empire. Hidden in the files was a small report about Baron Kraith's family. His daughter, Lyra, was once known as a child prodigy, a brilliant mind, gifted with rare psychic abilities. But then, suddenly, all records of her disappeared. No one knew why, until now. Ethan understood. The Baron had locked away his daughter's mind because she was too powerful. But why give her to him? Was it a trap? Or did the Baron think Ethan could not help her? Or maybe the Baron was testing him. The next morning, Ethan entered Lyra's room again. He brought a small device, a human neural interface. Normally, it was used to help injured soldiers communicate. He attached the small band around her. Head gently, the screen lit up, and for the first time, he heard a voice, soft but clear in the device's speakers. "Thank you, Ethan." It was Lyra's voice. Ethan smiled warmly. "Hello, Lyra. You can speak to me now." Lyra's voice trembled but grew stronger. "My father did this. He fears me. He fears what I can do." Ethan felt a chill down his spine. He was right. She was powerful, more than he could imagine. "Lyra," he asked carefully, "what can you do?" Lyra paused for a long moment, then she answered softly, "My mind. My mind can touch things. I can move objects, read thoughts, control machines." But he blocked me, trapped me inside myself. Ethan leaned forward. He felt both fear and wonder. If he could help her recover, her abilities could change everything. But it was dangerous too. The Baron had not given her away as a simple joke. There was a deeper game being played. Lyra's voice became soft again. "I want freedom. Please, help me." Ethan took her hand gently. "Lyra, I promise you this," he said firmly. "I will help you. Together, we will break this curse. I will not leave you trapped like this." Outside the ship, far in the shadows, a small spy drone watched through the window. Its silent signal flashed back to the Baron's palace. Baron Kraith smiled coldly as he watched the report. "Good. Let the human try. He has no idea what awaits him." Unlocking her mind, the Starhawk drifted quietly through deep space. Far from any planet or station, inside, Ethan Wells sat across from Lyra, who now spoke softly through the neural interface. Her voice was clear, but weak. Her words revealed the terrible truth. She was trapped, not by injury or disease, but by a cruel lock placed deep inside her mind. Ethan felt anger rise every time he looked into her bright, intelligent eyes. She was not broken. She was imprisoned. He had to free her, but how? Dr. Carter entered the room, holding a small device. "Commander," he said carefully, "I think we can help her. This neural stimulator can connect directly to her brain pathways. It's experimental, but it may work." Ethan nodded without hesitation. He would take any chance to help Lyra. "Let's do it," he said. Lyra's floating chair was adjusted carefully. The neural stimulator was placed around her head. Ethan watched the screen as it displayed complex patterns of her brain activity. Lyra's mind was strong, but a strange dark pattern appeared. A block, like a wall of shadow inside her brain's signals. "What is that?" Ethan asked. Dr. Carter frowned. "I think it's an alien neural lock. Someone designed this to suppress her powers. It's very advanced," he explained. Lyra's voice came softly through the speaker. "My father created it. He feared me. When I was a child, I showed powers he did not understand. Instead of teaching me, he silenced me, locked me inside myself," she said sadly. Ethan clenched his fists. No father should do such a thing. He took a deep breath and gently placed his hand on hers. "Lyra, we're going to remove this lock together. You're not alone anymore," he said. The neural stimulator sent gentle pulses into Lyra's mind. On the screen, the shadowy block trembled. Lyra gasped softly. Her fingers twitched slightly. "The first movement since she was paralyzed, Commander. Look," Dr. Carter exclaimed. "Her motor neurons are activating. It's working." Ethan smiled with hope. He spoke gently to Lyra. "Can you try to move your hand again, Lyra?" Lyra focused hard. A small tremor ran through her fingers. Slowly, slowly, her hand lifted just a little. It was a small movement, but it was a miracle. Ethan's heart raced. This was the proof he needed. She could be saved. Lyra's voice grew stronger. "I can feel it. My mind is touching the block, but it's fighting me. There's something more, a command inside it. It's listening to someone else," she said. That chilled Ethan. Listening. To whom? He asked quickly. Lyra paused, then whispered, "My father. It's connected to him. If he gives a command, it can shut me down completely." Forever, Ethan's mind raced. The Baron was not just cruel, he was still controlling his daughter from afar. This was more than a neural lock, it was a leash. Ethan realized they were running out of time. "Dr. Carter," he said urgently, "can we block that connection? Cut the link so the Baron can't control her." Dr. Carter hesitated. It's risky, Commander. If we fail, we could harm her mind permanently. He said. Lyra's voice came again, soft but determined. Do it. Please. I would rather die free than live as his puppet, she said. Ethan looked. Into her eyes, he saw courage there, deep, burning courage. She was not afraid anymore. She was ready to fight for her freedom. He nodded to Dr. Carter. Do it, he ordered. The doctor worked quickly. The neural stimulator sent a new wave of pulses. The dark shadow on the screen twisted and shook violently. Lyra gasped. Her whole body trembled. Ethan held her hand tightly. Stay with me, Lyra. Stay with me, he whispered. The shadow on the screen broke apart suddenly. Lyra's body jerked and then went still. For a moment, there was silence. Ethan feared they had failed. But then, slowly, Lyra's eyes closed and reopened. Her fingers moved again, this time stronger. Her arms lifted gently, trembling but free. Her lips moved softly, and then she spoke without the device. Thank you, Ethan. I can feel my body again, she said. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. He smiled and laughed softly. You did it, Lyra. You broke the lock, he said. Lyra sat up straighter in her chair. Her hands touched her face as if she was rediscovering herself. But then she froze. Her voice became serious. Ethan, my father will not stop. He will come for us now. We must. Be ready, outside the Starhawk, in the cold darkness of space. Hidden enemy ships were already closing in. Baron Krait's trap was just beginning. The Starhawk flew silently through the empty dark of space, far from any star system. Commander Ethan Wells sat with Lyra in a quiet training room aboard the ship. For the first time in years, Lyra could move again. Her fingers, her arms, even her legs. But her body was weak. Every movement slow and shaky. Still, her mind was strong, and Ethan could feel her determination in every glance. Every breath, Lyra sat cross-legged on a soft mat. Eyes closed, in front of her floated a small metal sphere, about the size of a fist. But it was not sitting on the floor. It was hovering in midair, held up by Lyra's mind alone. Keitha watched carefully. His heart raced with excitement and curiosity. He had read about psychic abilities, but never seen them like this. The metal sphere wobbled gently as Lyra's face tightened in concentration. You're doing great, Lyra, Ethan said softly. Focus on the weight. Feel its shape, its position. Don't force it. Guide it. Lyra nodded slightly, sweat forming on her forehead. The sphere rose higher, then spun slowly in the air. Suddenly, it dropped with a soft thud. Lyra let out a long breath, her shoulders shaking. I'm tired, she whispered, but there was a smile on her lips. For someone who had been trapped in stillness for so long, this was a miracle. Ethan knelt beside her. You're stronger every day. You're recovering faster than I expected, he said. Lyra opened her eyes and met his gaze. Not fast enough, she said quietly. My father will come soon. He won't allow me to stay free for long. Ethan nodded. He knew she was right. The spy drone they destroyed 2 days ago was proof the Baron was watching them. But he was determined to give Lyra every chance to grow before the next attack. Dr. Carter entered, carrying a tray of food. He smiled kindly at Lyra. You need to eat well, Lyra. Your body is waking up, but it needs energy, he said. Lyra reached for the tray herself, her fingers trembling but steadying as they grasped the edge. This small act filled Ethan with hope. Just days ago, she could not move a muscle. Now she was taking her first steps back into life. After eating, Lyra insisted on returning to practice. This time she tried something more difficult, floating 2 objects at once. A small stone and the metal sphere. Her concentration deepened. The room grew silent, except for the soft hum of the ship. Slowly, Both objects lifted into the air. They danced gently above her hands, spinning slowly, perfectly balanced. Ethan felt pride as he watched her, but deep down he knew they were racing against time. Lyra's powers were strong but still unstable. If the Baron attacked now, would they be ready? Later that evening, Ethan and Lyra sat together in the ship's observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly around them. For a moment, they enjoyed the peaceful silence, but Lyra broke it gently. "Ethan, I can feel it. He's watching again. My father's presence, far away but close." Ethan stiffened. "Are you sure?" he asked urgently. Lyra nodded. "I don't know how, but I sense him. His mind, looking for me." Ethan stood and touched the communication console. He ordered the crew to prepare emergency defenses. "Shields at maximum," he said firmly. "Stay on high alert. No one drops their guard tonight." That night, while most of the crew rested, Lyra continued her training in secret. She was alone in the dark training room, her hands stretched out, her fingers glowing faintly with blue light. Objects around her began to lift, not just one or two, but many. Small tools, boxes, even a heavy chair floated gently in the air, her mind growing stronger every minute. In her heart, Lyra felt something awakening. Not just her physical powers, but her will to fight back. For the first time in years, she was free, truly free, and she would not be caged again. Suddenly, a soft alarm beeped on the wall. Lyra froze, her heart racing. A quiet red light flashed above the door. Intruder alert. Someone, or something, had entered the Starhawk. Lyra stood slowly, her legs shaking but steady. She reached out with her mind and felt it, a presence. Cold, dangerous, moving through the ship's lower decks. This was no ordinary enemy. This was an assassin. Sent by her father, without hesitation, Lyra left the training room. Her body still weak, but guided by a powerful mind, she would not hide. She would face this threat herself. Elsewhere on the ship, Ethan heard the alarm too. He grabbed his weapon and ran toward the lower decks, his mind focused only on one thing, protecting Lyra at any cost. But what he didn't know yet was that Lyra no longer needed him to protect her. She was ready to protect herself, and him too, in the shadows of the Starhawk's lower corridors. The assassin waited, his eyes glowing faintly, his claws sharp. He moved silently, confident that his mission would be easy. But this time, Lyra was ready, and her mind was free. The red alarm lights glowed softly across the walls of the Starhawk. The ship's corridors, usually quiet and peaceful, now felt tense and full of danger. Commander Ethan Wells moved quickly, his blaster ready in his hand. He knew someone had boarded the ship, but he didn't know who or how. In the lower decks, shadows moved silently. The assassin sent by Baron Kraith crept forward. His skin was dark, his body lean and deadly. His glowing green eyes scanned every corner. He was a master hunter, trained to kill without mercy. His mission was clear: destroy Ethan Wells and capture Lyra alive. But what he didn't know was that Lyra was already awake, no longer helpless, no longer paralyzed. Her mind was sharp, her powers growing stronger with every second. Lyra walked slowly down the narrow hallway, her legs still weak, but her mind steady. She could feel the assassin's presence. His thoughts were like whispers she could almost hear. Cold, focused, deadly. She paused at a corner, closed her eyes. Objects nearby, a small crate, a heavy wrench lifted gently into the air around her. She was ready to fight for herself and for Ethan. At the same moment, Ethan turned a corner and froze. In front of him was the assassin, crouched low. Their eyes met, and without a word, the assassin attacked, fast, silent, deadly. Ethan fired his blaster, but the assassin dodged. Easily, they fought hand to hand. The assassin's claws sliced the air inches from Ethan's face. Ethan blocked and kicked, but the assassin was too fast. In a flash, the assassin's claw struck Ethan's shoulder. Ethan fell back, pain shooting through him, his weapon slipping from his hand. The assassin raised his claws for the final blow. But then, everything stopped. A strange force wrapped around the assassin's body, freezing him in midair, his arms locked, his legs stiff. He struggled, but could not move. Slowly, Lyra stepped into view, her eyes glowing faintly with blue light, her hands raised, fingers spread. She was controlling him with her mind completely. Even Ethan, lying on the floor, could only stare in shock and awe. Lyra spoke softly, her voice clear and calm. Not this time. You will not hurt him. The assassin's eyes widened in fear for the first time. He had underestimated her. Everyone had underestimated her. With a wave of her hand, Lyra sent him flying backward. He crashed into the wall and fell to the floor. Unconscious, the fight was over in seconds, but something bigger had just begun. Lyra rushed to Ethan's side, her hands trembling as she touched his wounded shoulder. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. Ethan looked up at her, amazed. "You? You stopped him," he whispered. "Lyra, you saved me." Lyra nodded. Her heart was racing, but her mind was clear. For the first time since her childhood, she felt fully awake. Fully alive and powerful, she had faced a deadly assassin and won. Dr. Carter and a few crew members arrived seconds later. They stared in shock at the scene. The assassin, unconscious, and Lyra standing tall, her eyes bright and her body no longer weak. Ethan gave them a small smile. "Lyra's free, and she's stronger than we imagined," he said, that night. As the crew repaired damage to the ship, Ethan and Lyra sat together in the observation deck. Stars glittered outside, endless and silent. But inside the Starhawk, something had changed. Forever, Lyra was no longer a victim. She was no longer trapped. She was becoming a warrior and a protector. Lyra spoke quietly. "Ethan, I felt something during the fight. My powers are growing." "But they're not just mine," she said slowly. Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" he asked. Lyra looked at him carefully. "My father designed that neural lock, but some of its energy stayed inside me. When I broke it, I didn't just free myself. I absorbed part of its power," she explained. Ethan felt a chill. Lyra's abilities might now be even stronger than before, but that also meant something dangerous. Baron Kraith would know. He would sense that his daughter was now fully awake and powerful. Ethan stood and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we must prepare," he said firmly. "Your father will come for you soon. We will face him together." At that moment, a quiet beep sounded at the console. Nearby, Ethan walked over and checked the message. His face hardened. "It's a transmission." "From the Baron himself," he said, his voice serious. Lyra stood beside him, her mind already sharp and ready. Her journey was far from over. It was just beginning. The Starhawk flew steadily through deep space, its course set for Baron Kraith's homeworld. Inside, Commander Ethan Wells stood with Lyra at the command deck. They both knew what they were walking into: a trap, a test, a final challenge. But neither hesitated. Lyra had changed, no longer the silent, paralyzed girl in the floating chair. She now stood tall beside Ethan, her silver skin glowing faintly, her eyes sharp and clear, her mind stronger than ever. As the Baron's planet appeared on the view screen, Lyra spoke quietly. "This is where it all began for me, where he locked me in my own body." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is where it will end, too," he said calmly. "But this time, you decide your future, not him." The ship entered orbit and a message crackled through the speakers. "Commander Wells, you are cleared to land at the Baron's palace. The Baron awaits you." and his daughter Lyra's expression stayed calm. But inside her, emotions swirled: anger, pain, courage. She would face her father at last, but not as a prisoner, as his equal. Maybe even his better. When they landed, a small escort of alien guards waited outside the ramp, but they did not dare approach Lyra. They kept their distance, their eyes full of fear. Word of her awakening had spread quickly. Even here, in her father's palace, her new strength was known. Inside the grand hall, Baron Craith sat on his throne, his cold eyes fixed on the door as Ethan and Lyra entered. Around him, alien nobles whispered nervously. None of them laughed now. Their mockery was gone, replaced by tension and curiosity. The Baron rose slowly, his tall figure casting a long shadow across the polished floor. He smiled, a cold, calculating smile. "Welcome back, daughter," he said. "I see you've recovered." Surprising, Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but strong. "No, father." "Not surprising. You tried to break me, but you failed. I have unlocked my mind and my body, and now I am here to show them who you really are." The Baron laughed. "But there was no humor in it. And what will you show them, my dear?" "That you are dangerous. That you are a threat. Look around. They will never follow someone like you." But as Lyra raised her hand gently, the nobles fell silent. The air in the hall changed. Cold, heavy objects around them began to float. Chairs, banners, even the golden throne itself. Lyra's eyes glowed softly as she spoke. "They will follow me. Because I am stronger than you. Not crueler, but stronger." The Baron narrowed his eyes, his pride wounded. He clapped his hands suddenly, a signal. Hidden guards appeared from the shadows, weapons aimed at Ethan and Lyra. Ethan stepped forward protectively, his blaster drawn, but Lyra raised a hand to stop him. "Let me handle this," she whispered with a slow motion. Lyra turned her palm toward the guards. Their weapons froze in their hands, then gently floated into the air and disassembled before their eyes. Screws, barrels, and power cells all separated. Harmless gasps filled the hall. The nobles stared in awe and fear. Even the Baron's cruel smile began to fade. Lyra took another step forward. "You called me a curse, a joke, a broken child," she said clearly. "But I see the truth now. You feared me from the beginning. You locked me away because you knew I was your greatest challenge." The Baron growled. "Enough. You think power makes you a ruler? These people respect strength, not kindness. You cannot rule them with soft words." Lyra nodded slowly. "You're right about one thing. They respect strength," she said. Then, with a wave of her hand, she gently lifted her father from his throne. He floated in the air, helpless, powerless. For the first time in his life, he felt what it meant to lose control. The nobles watched in silence, and one by one they began to bow, not to the Baron, but to Lyra. A new leader was rising before them, one they could respect. And fear, Ethan stepped beside Lyra, his voice calm but firm. "Baron Craith, your time is over. Lyra is the future of your people, of this entire world." Lyra lowered her father gently to the floor, but her gaze stayed steady. "You will not rule through fear anymore," she said. "I will show them a better way, a stronger way." The Baron sat in silence, his face pale, his pride shattered. He knew it was over. His daughter had defeated him without cruelty, without hate, but with power and grace. Outside the palace, alien citizens gathered. News of Lyra's return was spreading fast. Their eyes turned toward the great hall, toward their new leader, the girl who had once been paralyzed, but who now stood tall and strong. And deep in space, aboard the Starhawk, the crew watched the scene through the ship's monitors. Ethan's voice came quietly through the comms. "It's done, but this is just the beginning. The great hall of Baron Kraith's palace was silent. The nobles who once served the cruel Baron now stood quietly. Watching Lyra, she stood tall beside Ethan Wells. Her head held high, her silver skin glowing softly in the light, her once body now strong and graceful, her mind calm but powerful outside. The citizens of the planet gathered. They had heard the rumors the Baron's daughter had returned. No longer broken, no longer silent, she had defeated her father without bloodshed. Many of them, once afraid of her powers, now looked at her with respect, curiosity, and hope. Lyra stepped forward and spoke to the crowd through a communicator. Her voice was steady and clear. For many years, I was hidden, locked away by fear. My father believed my gifts were a danger to his rule, but I am not here to rule by fear. I am here to offer something better. The people listened carefully. No one spoke, no one moved. I offer peace with humanity, she continued. We must stop hiding behind walls and pride. Together, human and alien, we can build a future that is stronger than any war. A murmur spread through the crowd. It was bold, unexpected. The Baron had always taught them that humans were weak, that they should be used or mocked. But now, his own daughter spoke of alliance, respect, and unity. Beside her, Ethan Wells smiled quietly. This was why he had stayed. Not just to help Lyra walk again, but because he believed in her. Believed that she could lead her people to something better. Baron Kraith sat quietly on his fallen throne, his face pale, his pride shattered. But even he knew the truth. His time was over. His daughter had one, not just with power, but with wisdom. Later that day, a small human delegation arrived from Earth. They had been watching the events unfold through Ethan's reports. When they met Lyra, they bowed respectfully, not out of fear, but because they saw her strength, both of mind and heart. Talks began immediately. Simple, at first, trade agreements, shared research, cultural exchanges. But it was a beginning, a bridge between two worlds that had once seen each other as enemies. In the days that followed, Lyra worked tirelessly. She met with leaders from both sides, listened to their fears and hopes. She showed them that her powers were not a threat, but a gift. She even taught some of her people how to use their own hidden mental abilities. The first school for telepathy and peaceful mind training was opened under her name. The palace that had once been a symbol of fear became a place of learning and unity. Ethan stayed by her side. Their bond had grown deeper than anyone could see. He was no longer just a protector. He was her friend, her closest ally. And though they never spoke of it aloud, something warmer, something unspoken, had begun between them two. One evening, as they stood together on a balcony, looking at the stars above, Lyra spoke softly. "Do you know what my father said when I was a child?" she asked. Ethan shook his head gently. Lyra's eyes softened as she remembered. He said, "I would never be more than a tool, something he could use or discard." But he was wrong. I am more. I am free. And I will help my people become free too. Ethan touched her hand gently. "You've already changed everything," he said quietly. "Not just for your people, but for humanity too. This alliance will shape the galaxy for generations, and it started because you had the courage to rise." Lyra smiled. But her eyes held a spark of something more. Hope, determination, purpose. She knew there would still be challenges ahead. There were still old hatreds, old fears to heal. But she was ready. In the distance, ships from both worlds could be seen landing together. Humans and aliens meeting as equals for the first time. It was a new chapter, and Lyra stood at the heart of it all. In the shadows of the hall, Baron Kraith watched silently. Defeated, but strangely quiet, he could no longer control her. His era was finished. The future now belonged to her, and to the alliance she had forged that night. As the stars shone brightly over the palace, Lyra made a silent vow. She would lead with wisdom. She would protect this fragile peace, and she would honor the second chance she had been given. For the first time in her life, she felt free, truly free, and beside her, Ethan Wells stood proudly, his heart full of hope, too. Together, they would guide this new alliance, a union of human and alien. Stronger than fear, stronger than pride, a future worth fighting for.